Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Introduction. Did you know that 83% of small businesses are living paycheck to paycheck? That means most entrepreneurs are working endless hours, pouring their energy into a dream that's barely staying afloat. But what if the problem isn't your business? It's the formula you've been taught. You've been told that profit comes last, after all the expenses are paid. But Mike Michalowicz flips that script. In his revolutionary system, Profit First, he teaches us that profit should come first, always. This simple mindset shift can radically transform your financial reality. In this video, we'll break down the Profit First method step by step, helping you build a business that finally pays you, creates stability, and fuels your dreams. Because let's be real, you didn't start a business to be broke. You started to thrive. Let's make that happen. Together. Section 1. The Profit Problem. Why most businesses fail financially, and how to fix it. Most people start their businesses with big dreams, the freedom to control their time, the excitement of building something from the ground up, and the hope that, finally, they'll be paid what they're truly worth. But the sobering reality is that most small businesses, even those generating impressive revenue, are one unexpected expense away from collapse. Why? Because the formula we've been taught is broken. From the very beginning, business owners are told that profit is what comes last. First, you make sales. Then you pay your expenses. And then, if anything is left, that's your profit. The problem is, there's rarely anything left. This traditional equation, sales minus expenses equals profit, encourages a spending mentality. It creates a culture of scarcity, where business owners scramble each month, chasing the next sale just to stay alive. Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, knows this struggle firsthand. At one point, he had built and sold multi-million-dollar companies. On paper, he looked like a wildly successful entrepreneur. But behind the scenes, things were crumbling. His bank account was empty. His personal life was stressed. He was drowning in debt, and ashamed to admit the truth. The turning point came when he hit financial rock bottom. He realized that despite the revenue his businesses brought in, he had nothing to show for it. That's when he asked himself a brutal but necessary question. How can a business that makes millions still be broke? The answer was clear. He was operating under a flawed system that prioritized expenses and growth over stability and profit. This is a mistake that nearly every entrepreneur makes at some point. We assume that growing bigger will fix our problems. We tell ourselves, once I land that next client, or once we double revenue, everything will be fine. But in reality, more revenue often means more expenses, more stress, and less control. Without a system to manage profit intentionally, growth only magnifies the chaos. That's why businesses with great income still go bankrupt. They're chasing sales without capturing value. They're sprinting on a financial treadmill with no end in sight. The core of the Profit First philosophy is flipping that broken equation on its head. Instead of sales minus expenses equals profit, Mike proposes sales minus profit equals expenses. It's a simple shift, but it's revolutionary. By taking profit first, you force your business to live within its means. You become intentional about your spending. You stop treating profit like a leftover and start treating it like the priority it should be. This mindset is the difference between surviving and thriving. So how do we start fixing the problem? The first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't recognize. It's time to take a hard look at your financial habits. Are you tracking where every dollar goes? Or are you reacting to the chaos each month, hoping it'll somehow get better? Open your bank statements. Analyze your income and expenses. Ask yourself if you're actually running a profitable business or just a busy one. If the numbers scare you, that's okay. That fear is a sign. It's your wake-up call to do something different. Start by noticing how you behave when money hits your account. Do you immediately pay off bills, invest in new tools or contractors? Or do you set aside profit first, ensuring your business actually serves you and not just everyone else? The truth is, many business owners are more comfortable paying others than they are paying themselves. They prioritize payroll, software subscriptions, rent, and vendors. But when it comes to rewarding themselves for their work and risk, they hesitate. That hesitation is part of the problem. If you don't put your own oxygen mask on first, you won't be able to sustain your business or your sanity for long. Mike's story proves that it's never too late to change course. After hitting rock bottom, he decided to test the profit-first method on himself. He opened multiple bank accounts to separate profit, taxes, and operating expenses. He started taking a small percentage of profit right off the top of every dollar earned, no matter how tight things felt. And something amazing happened. He got control. His business began working for him instead of against him. He was no longer constantly reacting. He was intentionally leading. That sense of control, of clarity, is what every entrepreneur deserves. And this approach isn't just for Mike. It's worked for thousands of business owners across the world, from solo freelancers and consultants to seven-figure companies. Because profit first isn't about how much money you make. It's about how you manage what you already have. When you make profit a habit instead of a hope, you build a foundation that's unshakable. You create a business that doesn't just look successful from the outside. It's healthy and sustainable on the inside. Now, let's be real. Implementing a new system can feel overwhelming, especially when you've been doing things the traditional way for years. But here's the truth. If you don't start prioritizing profit now, when will you? How many more months will you keep grinding with nothing to show for it? How many more years will you keep telling yourself that profit will come someday? That day doesn't arrive on its own. You have to make it happen. You have to choose it. It begins with a mindset shift. You have to believe that your business exists to serve you, not the other way around. You have to stop glorifying hustle and start valuing sustainability. You have to decide that profit isn't greedy, it's responsible. Because when your business is profitable, you can hire more help, invest in better tools, serve your clients at a higher level, and give back to your community. Profit isn't just about padding your pockets, it's about building capacity for impact. So let's end this section with a moment of honesty. Ask yourself this question and answer it with courage. Are you running your business, or is it running you into the ground? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is a signal that it's time for change, and that change starts now. Section 2. The core principle, Profit First Formula, the new formula that will save your business. Sales minus profit equals expenses. Imagine this. Every time you make a sale, you immediately take a portion of that money and set it aside as profit. Not after paying your bills. Not after covering your subscriptions, taxes, or marketing costs. You take your profit first. Whatever is left is what you're allowed to run the business on. Sound backwards? Maybe. But this one shift, changing the formula from sales minus expenses equals profit to sales minus profit equals expenses, is the radical foundation of the Profit First method. And it works. Because it forces frugality, it sparks discipline, it eliminates the illusion that growth solves everything. This is the mindset that can save your business from the endless cycle of earning and spending, while wondering where all the money went. The old formula assumes that profit is a leftover, something you might get if everything else doesn't eat it up first. But that's like saying you'll save what's left at the end of the month, even though you know full well there's rarely anything left. The same goes for business. When you allow expenses to determine how much profit you keep, your business will always grow to the edge of what it earns. That's Parkinson's law in action, a concept that says work, or spending, expands to fill the space available. The more money you have, the more you'll find ways to spend it. But if you limit that space on purpose, by taking your profit up front, you constrain your spending and ignite innovation. Let's be honest. If you're like most entrepreneurs, you don't have a spending problem. You have a habit problem. You're used to reacting to your business finances instead of leading them. You see a surplus in the bank account and think, "Great, we can afford that new hire or marketing campaign." But the bank balance doesn't tell you what you can afford. It tells you what you've deposited, not what's safe to use. That's where the Profit First formula becomes a lifesaver. It gives every dollar a purpose before it disappears. Instead of hoping for profit, you guarantee it. So how do you implement this new formula? Start with mindset. This isn't a gimmick. It's a commitment. It means you no longer let profit be optional. You treat it like a non-negotiable, like payroll or rent. You build the business to fit the leftover resources, not the other way around. If that means saying no to shiny tools or delaying a project, so be it. You're building something sustainable, something real. Next, put the formula into action. For every dollar of revenue that comes in, immediately set aside a small percentage, 5%, 10%, or whatever you can manage, as profit. Transfer it to a separate bank account. Don't touch it. Don't dip into it when cash gets tight. That's your reward. That's your business paying you. It's your financial safety net, your stress reliever, your path to freedom. Then, whatever remains is what you use to cover expenses. And if there's not enough, that's your business screaming at you to get leaner, more efficient, more focused. Here's where the genius of the system really shows. When you limit what's available, you become incredibly resourceful. Think of the toothpaste tube analogy that Mike Michalowicz shares. At the beginning of a new tube, we use generous blobs without much thought. But near the end, we squeeze every last bit out. We find ways to make that tiny amount stretch, because we have to. That's exactly what happens when you run your business on what's left, after profit is removed. You find smarter, more cost-effective solutions. You negotiate better. You avoid waste. You make strategic decisions because you must. This approach also reveals hidden inefficiencies. Suddenly, those bloated subscriptions, unnecessary hires, and inflated software stacks stand out. When you're forced to operate with tighter margins, you naturally streamline. You stop throwing money at problems and start solving them with creativity. Constraints, it turns out, breed brilliance, and Profit First is built on that very principle. Let's bring this down to your personal life for a moment. Try applying this formula to your own income. Whatever your monthly earnings, take 10% off the top and move it into a savings account the second it hits your account. What's left is what you budget with. Watch what happens. You'll notice your spending habits change. You'll pause before swiping that card. You'll get more intentional. And when that savings account starts to grow, you'll feel more secure than ever. That's what this formula does. It creates clarity, discipline, and confidence. Think of it like this. You wouldn't build a house without first setting aside the materials for the foundation. That's what profit is. It's the solid ground that protects you when the storms hit. And storms will come. Unexpected expenses, slow sales months, client losses. If you've been operating on razor-thin margins, those events can destroy you. But if you've been putting profit first, you'll have the cushion to weather them. You won't be scrambling for loans or draining your energy with financial stress. You'll have options, freedom, breathing room. Let's revisit Mike's story again. After he adopted the new formula, his entire business structure shifted. He stopped blindly reinvesting every dollar. He started treating himself like an investor, someone who deserves returns for the risk taken. The shift didn't just improve his finances, it transformed how he thought. He felt empowered instead of desperate, strategic instead of reactive, confident instead of constantly second-guessing. That's the gift of the Profit First formula. It gives you back control. And let's be clear, this isn't about cutting corners or starving your business. It's about flipping the hierarchy so profit leads and expenses follow. It's about honoring the fact that you took the risk to start this business. You work the late nights, you carry the weight, you deserve to get paid first, not last. So here's your challenge. Take this formula, sales minus profit equals expenses, and apply it today. You don't need a perfect plan. Start small, open a separate bank account, and move just 1% of your next sale into it. Watch how that small act begins to shift your thinking. As you build confidence, increase the percentage. Before long, you'll look at your business finances and feel something rare for most entrepreneurs: peace. Let this section be your line in the sand. The old way isn't working. The constant grind, the financial anxiety, the profit someday mentality. It's not sustainable. But this formula is your way out. It's your way forward. Make it your new rule. Every dollar has a job. Profit first, always. Section 3. Small plates. Bank account system. Why one bank account is killing your business. Picture this. You walk into your favorite buffet, grab a giant plate, and start piling food without any portion control. Before you know it, you've overfilled your plate with more than you can manage, and halfway through, you feel bloated, wasteful, and overwhelmed. That's exactly what happens when you run your business with just one bank account. It may seem convenient, but it's silently killing your ability to manage cash, stay disciplined, and plan for profit. Why? Because when all your business income and expenses are mixed in a single account, you have no visibility, no boundaries, and no true control. Money comes in, money goes out, and you're left reacting, not leading. Mike Michalowicz calls this the one big plate problem, and the solution is deceptively simple. Use small plates. The Profit First system replaces the traditional single account setup with a series of purpose-driven accounts. Think of them like labeled envelopes or digital jars. Each account has one job. You no longer guess where your money is going or whether there's enough to cover everything. You'll know, because each account tells a story. And the best part? You'll train yourself to become a financially intentional entrepreneur. No more surprises, no more, "Where did it all go?" stress at the end of the month. Here's how the system works. Instead of dumping all your revenue into one account and letting it slosh around aimlessly, you set up 5 main business bank accounts. 1. Income account. This is your master receiving account. Every dollar your business earns lands here first. 2. Profit account. From the income account, a predetermined percentage is immediately transferred here. This is your reward, your safety net, and your business's future. 3. Owner's pay account. You're not a martyr. You're the owner. This account ensures you get paid consistently, not just what's left over. 4. Tax account. Uncle Sam, or your local tax man, is always coming. Set aside a percentage here so you're never caught off guard during tax season. 5. Operating expenses account. What remains after the first 3 transfers is what you have to run the business. It covers everything else, from rent to tools to staff. This setup creates structure, visibility, and automatic discipline. It's like budgeting without having to micromanage every dollar daily. Once these accounts are in place, you follow a routine transfer rhythm, usually twice a month. On those days, you look at your income account balance and move fixed percentages to the other accounts accordingly. If your income is $10,000 and you've decided on 5% for profit, 50% for owner's pay, 15% for taxes, and 30% for operating expenses, then you transfer accordingly. Done. Clean, clear, simple. Now, some people might think, that's too many accounts. Won't it be a hassle? The answer: it's far less hassle than constantly wondering why you can't make payroll or why your tax bill knocked you flat. Those few extra accounts are not complexity. They are clarity. They're a built-in automatic financial GPS system that guides your business and keeps you in control. Let's explore how this works in real life. Consider the story of Susan, a bakery owner in Chicago. She loved baking more than anything. But like many creative entrepreneurs, the business side overwhelmed her. For years, she ran everything through one account. Sales were decent, but she was constantly stressed. She dreaded looking at her bank balance. Every month, she was surprised by bills she couldn't afford and taxes she hadn't saved for. Profit? That was a fairy tale. She paid herself whatever was left, often barely enough to get by. Then Susan discovered profit first. She was skeptical at first, but desperate for change. She opened 5 new business accounts, exactly as the book advised. At first, she started small, allocating just 1% to profit. But even that tiny shift made a difference. Over the following months, she increased her profit percentage bit by bit. She learned to run her bakery on the true amount available in her operating expenses account. When things got tight, she didn't panic. She got creative. She negotiated better rates with suppliers, trimmed unnecessary costs, and focused her marketing on high-margin products. Most importantly, for the first time ever, she had money saved for taxes and was paying herself consistently. Today, Susan's bakery is thriving, and she credits the account system for giving her the structure and peace of mind she never thought possible. That's the power of the small plates approach. It makes you aware, and once you're aware, you can make better decisions. When you look at your profit account and see money building up, you feel proud, secure, and motivated. When your operating expenses account runs low, it's not a failure. It's feedback. It tells you that something in your spending needs to change. This system trains your business to live within its means and helps you build a sustainable, scalable company rooted in financial health. There's another benefit, too: behavior reinforcement. We humans tend to make financial decisions based on what we see. If all your money is in one place, it gives the illusion of abundance, even when that money is already spoken for. But with multiple accounts, you visually compartmentalize your funds. You start treating your money with purpose instead of impulse. This is a psychological hack as much as it is a financial strategy. And it works. Here's your challenge. Within the next 7 days, open at least 2 new accounts. Start with a profit account and a tax account. When income comes in, move just a small percentage, 1% to profit, and maybe 5 to 10% to taxes. That's it. You'll feel a subtle but powerful shift immediately. You'll start thinking like a business owner who values longevity over illusion, stability over chaos. Once you're comfortable, expand to all 5 accounts and make transfers part of your regular financial rhythm. And remember, this system isn't rigid. It's flexible. As your business grows, you'll adjust the percentages. You may eventually add a payroll account or a savings reserve account. That's fine. The point is to create a system that works for you, not a formula you're trapped by. But don't let simplicity fool you. This method has rescued businesses from the brink of failure. It's like putting training wheels on your financial bike until you can steer confidently and accelerate without crashing. Running a business on one account is like trying to run a household with all your bills, groceries, and savings mixed in one messy drawer. It's chaotic, it's stressful, it's unsustainable. But when you create financial boundaries with multiple accounts, everything becomes easier to manage. You get clarity, you get control, and most importantly, you get results. Section 4. The Rhythm. When and how to move money. Master the cash flow rhythm that grows profit consistently. One of the biggest reasons small business owners struggle with money isn't because they don't earn enough. It's because they lack rhythm. Financial chaos often comes from reacting to money as it flows in, instead of building a system that allocates every dollar with purpose. That's why one of the most powerful components of the Profit First system isn't just what you do with your money, it's when you do it. Mike Michalowicz emphasizes the importance of setting a predictable, consistent rhythm for managing your cash flow. And the secret is beautifully simple. You move your money twice a month, every month, no matter what, just like clockwork. This rhythmic approach, typically done on the 10th and 25th of each month, is where the real magic begins. You stop operating in chaos and start building a habit. And when you master this rhythm, something shifts. Your anxiety goes down, your clarity goes up, and your business stops feeling like a never-ending guessing game. This isn't about accounting complexity. It's about financial behavior. It's about replacing reaction with rhythm. Because when your money follows a consistent beat, your mind becomes calm, focused, and empowered. Here's how it works. On the 10th and 25th, you check the balance in your income account, the holding tank where all your deposits land. Then, based on your predetermined percentages for profit, owner's pay, taxes, and operating expenses, you distribute the money accordingly into the respective accounts. You don't do this daily. You don't do it when you feel like it. You do it on schedule, just like payroll. These allocation days become sacred. They anchor your financial discipline and train you to live within your means. Let's break it down with a real-world example. Imagine your income account has $20,000 on the 10th. Based on your allocation percentages, you transfer 5% to profit, $1,000, 50% to owner's pay, $10,000, 15% to tax, $3,000, 30% to operating expenses, $6,000. These transfers are clean, direct, and automatic once you've set your percentages. You don't need a spreadsheet open. You don't need a calculator. You just follow the rhythm. And then, you don't touch your income account until the next allocation day. It becomes a disciplined, structured, and predictable process. And over time, it becomes second nature. Now, let's talk about why this matters so deeply. Most entrepreneurs are brilliant at generating income, but weak at managing it. Without rhythm, money becomes a source of constant stress. You feel rich on Monday and broke on Thursday. You start making decisions based on emotion rather than clarity. You panic when taxes are due. You delay paying yourself because you're unsure what's safe to spend. But with a regular allocation rhythm, all that fades. You stop making dozens of impulsive decisions and start following a simple process that works. Mike shares the story of a business coaching client, let's call him James, who ran a successful digital marketing agency. On paper, James was doing great. Revenue was strong. Clients were happy. But behind the scenes, he was drowning. He had one bank account, no clarity, and a financial strategy based entirely on gut feelings. Every month, he'd scramble to cover expenses, pay staff, and guess what he could afford? His stress was through the roof. Then, he implemented profit first. And more importantly, he committed to the rhythm. Twice a month, without fail, James did his allocations. No more random transfers, no more last-minute payroll panic. Within 3 months, he had built up a profit reserve, was paying himself a real salary, and, most importantly, felt peace for the first time in years. James didn't just fix his money, he fixed his mindset. That's what the rhythm does. It rewires your brain to stop chasing and start leading. Because consistency creates confidence. And confidence is what allows entrepreneurs to stop merely surviving and start thriving. Let's be honest, most of us resist routine. We love the idea of freedom, flexibility, and reacting in the moment. But if your freedom comes at the cost of financial stress, it's not real freedom. Rhythm doesn't restrict you, it liberates you. It gives your money a framework to move within, so you're not reinventing the wheel every week. It also prevents burnout. When you know that money moves on the 10th and 25th, you don't have to obsess over your bank balance every day. You gain mental space to actually focus on growing your business, instead of just managing chaos. Now here's how to get started. 1. Choose your allocation days. Most people use the 10th and 25th because it aligns well with typical invoicing and payroll cycles. But if your business has different cash flow patterns, adjust accordingly. Just make sure it's consistent. Set calendar reminders. Treat these like non-negotiable appointments. When allocation day comes, sit down for 15 to 30 minutes and make your transfers. That's it. Don't delay. Don't guess. Just do it. 3. Avoid daily spending decisions. Get out of the habit of looking at your bank account every day and making decisions based on the income account. Only look at your operating expenses account for spending decisions. That's your true business budget. 4. Stick to the process, even in lean months. Even when income is low, move something into each account, even 1%. The habit is more important than the amount. Over time, this discipline compounds into stability and profit. 5th, review quarterly. Every quarter, take a closer look at your allocation percentages. As your business grows, adjust your targets to increase profitability. Celebrate your wins. Distribute a portion of your profit account as a reward. This rhythm isn't just about transfers, it's about transforming your relationship with money. It's about turning finance from something scary and uncertain into something steady and empowering. You're not just moving funds, you're moving toward financial mastery. So, here's the reflection. What would change in your life if you knew your finances were handled like clockwork? What would you do differently if every month you could count on profit, pay yourself fairly, and have enough for taxes without stress? That's the life Profit First makes possible. Not by earning more, but by managing better. You deserve that clarity. You deserve that peace. In the next section, we'll talk about how to determine the right percentages for your business and how to transition from where you are to where you want to be. But first, your challenge. Mark the 10th and 25th on your calendar right now. Commit to them. Begin the rhythm. Your business is a living system, and like any healthy system, it needs a pulse. This is your financial heartbeat. Keep it steady, and you'll grow stronger month after month. Section 5. Taming the Beast, Controlling Operating Expenses. How to run your business on less. Without sacrificing growth. There's a silent monster lurking in most businesses, slowly draining their potential without making a sound. It doesn't show up with fangs or a warning sign. No, this monster is far more subtle. It's bloated operating expenses. And the truth is, most entrepreneurs don't even realize how much money they're wasting every single month. That's why this section of the Profit First system is so transformative. Because when you learn how to run your business on less, without sacrificing growth, you finally tame the beast that's been holding you back. Mike Michalowicz calls it out clearly. Most businesses operate under the dangerous assumption that if you just make more money, you'll eventually become profitable. But that's a trap. If your business is leaking cash through unnecessary expenses, more revenue simply fuels the waste. It's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. You work harder, sell more, and still struggle to pay yourself or grow with confidence. That's why trimming the fat isn't just a survival strategy. It's a profit strategy. Here's the core idea. You can do more with less, but only if you're intentional. Most businesses don't suffer from too little income. They suffer from too much waste. Software you don't use. Contractors who underdeliver. Tools with overlapping features. Subscriptions you forgot about. Fancy office supplies that impress no one. And because those costs trickle out bit by bit, you don't feel the sting until it's too late. That's why the Profit First approach forces you to face them head-on. When you operate on the amount left after profit is taken, you're forced to spend smarter, not harder. Let's talk about the psychology behind it. When you limit your operating expenses by taking profit and owners pay first, it creates artificial scarcity. But that's not a bad thing. It's a creative constraint. It forces you to prioritize what truly matters. You no longer say, "Can I afford this?" Instead, you ask, "Is this the best use of the resources I have?" That shift in thinking is the difference between entrepreneurs who stay stuck and those who scale sustainably. Now, how do you apply this practically? It starts with one powerful step. Evaluate your spending over the last 90 days. Pull up your business bank statements. Categorize every expense. Then ask yourself 3 questions for each one. 1. Is this essential? 2. Does this directly contribute to profit or growth? 3. Is there a more cost-effective alternative? Be ruthless. You'll likely discover tools you forgot you subscribed to, memberships you haven't used, and services that aren't pulling their weight. Cancel them. Consolidate tools. Renegotiate contracts. Downgrade plans. You're not being cheap. You're being strategic. Every dollar you cut from waste is a dollar you can reinvest in growth, save for taxes, or take home as your deserved compensation. Mike shares the story of a small creative agency that was doing well in terms of revenue but barely breaking even. When they adopted the Profit First model, they realized they were spending nearly $2,000 a month on software tools, many of which did the same thing. Multiple email platforms, overlapping project management tools, premium design subscriptions they rarely used. After reviewing their expenses, they cut their software budget in half, renegotiated some vendor rates, and committed to quarterly audits moving forward. The result? They tripled their profit in 6 months, without making a single extra sale. That's the power of controlling your expenses. It gives you the ability to scale without needing to explode your income. You become lean, agile, and focused. You gain confidence because you know exactly where your money is going and why. and you build a business that works for you, not just for everyone you're paying. Another powerful tactic is to create what Mike calls a spending cap. Based on your profit-first allocations, you already know how much you have available for operating expenses. That becomes your cap, and you commit to not going over it. It sounds simple, but it creates discipline. If there's not enough in the operating expenses account, you don't buy. You don't borrow from another account. You don't swipe the business credit card. You wait, you strategize, you get creative, and in that restraint, you find freedom. You might be thinking, but what about growth? Won't trimming expenses hurt my ability to expand? It's a fair question, and here's the answer. Growth that depends on bloat isn't sustainable. True growth happens when you're forced to make smart decisions with fewer resources. When you focus your spending on what actually produces results, you build a foundation strong enough to scale. You trade ego-driven purchases for impact-driven investments. And ironically, by spending less, you set the stage to earn more. Now let's talk about ongoing maintenance. One audit isn't enough. Make it a habit. Schedule a monthly or quarterly expense review day. Go through your accounts. Challenge every expense. Ask your team for input. Sometimes the people closest to the operations can spot waste you've overlooked. Make it a game. How can we cut 10% of our spending without sacrificing value? Celebrate your wins and reward your team when those cuts lead to more profit. Also, keep a wish list of expenses you'd like to add in the future, but only when you have the operating expense funds to justify them. This prevents impulse buys and gives you time to evaluate whether you really need that new software, hire, or subscription. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. You stop being reactive with your spending and start being proactive. So here's your challenge for today. Review the last 90 days of your business spending. Look at every line item. Where are the leaks? What can you cut, consolidate, or renegotiate? Be honest. Be bold. This single exercise could unlock thousands of dollars in hidden profit. And once you've trimmed the fat, commit to staying lean. Because lean businesses grow stronger, lean businesses last longer, and lean businesses pay their owners. To wrap up this section, remember, controlling expenses isn't about deprivation. It's about direction. You're choosing to spend only on what moves the needle. You're claiming control over your cash flow. And you're finally building a business that rewards your effort, not just your vendors. Section 6. Pay yourself first. Owners pay. Why you deserve to be paid first, not last. Let's be honest. How many times have you skipped paying yourself just to cover the bills or float payroll? How often have you told yourself, I'll take my share next month when things are better, and then next month never comes? If you're like most entrepreneurs, this painful cycle is far too familiar. But what if I told you this pattern isn't just unsustainable? It's downright toxic? The truth is, you deserve to be paid first, not last. And that isn't just some motivational catchphrase, it's a core principle of running a healthy business. Because if you don't pay yourself, you're not building a business. You're building a trap. Mike Michalowicz shatters the romantic myth of the self-sacrificing entrepreneur who works tirelessly without compensation. He argues, rightly, that if you don't prioritize your own pay, no one else will. Your landlord doesn't work for free. Your suppliers don't wait to be paid. Your employees expect their checks on time. So why should the most important person in the business, you, settle for scraps, or worse, nothing at all? Here's the core idea. The owner's pay comes out before anything else. Not after all the expenses are handled. Not when the quarter ends. not when you finally get ahead. You earn a percentage of every dollar that flows into your business, and you earn it consistently. Why? Because your time, your energy, your creativity, your risk, your vision, they all deserve compensation. You are not an afterthought in your own company. You are the heart of it. And when you treat yourself like a valued professional, the entire ecosystem of your business improves. This matters more than you might think. Paying yourself isn't just about the money. It's about sustainability. How long can you truly keep grinding without reward? How can you make clear-headed decisions when you're always in survival mode? When you don't pay yourself, you build resentment. You feel bitter. You begin to doubt your business. And that seeps into your client relationships, your marketing, your operations, everything. Paying yourself regularly restores your confidence. It fuels your motivation. And most importantly, it reinforces that this business is working for you, not the other way around. Now, let's talk implementation. Profit First makes it simple. Once your income account receives money, you allocate a specific percentage into your owner's pay account before you pay a single bill. This is not guesswork. You don't see what's left. You set a fixed percentage based on real numbers. For many small businesses, Mike suggests starting with 50% of income going to owner's pay, though this will vary depending on your business model, size, and growth stage. The key is consistency. It's better to start with 20% and stick to it than to aim for 50% and abandon it after 2 weeks. Let's look at a real-world story. One of Mike's coaching clients, a solopreneur named Dana, ran a successful copywriting business. On paper, things looked great. Her business was generating over $100,000 a year. But in reality, Dana was barely scraping by. She was working 60 to 70 hours a week, burning out, and not taking home a regular paycheck. Everything she earned was either being reinvested, swallowed by tools, or used to level up her brand. She told herself it was temporary. She told herself she was building something bigger. But eventually, she broke. When Dana discovered the Profit First system, it felt radical. You mean I can pay myself now and still run the business? She started small. Just 15% of her revenue into a separate owner's pay account. And something powerful happened. That money accumulated. She started seeing the business not just as a machine, but as her livelihood. Within a few months, she increased the percentage to 30%. She streamlined her expenses, dropped the guru courses she wasn't using, and stopped buying into the lie that she had to keep reinvesting everything. For the first time, Dana had breathing room. She paid off debt. She took weekends off. She smiled again. That's what happens when you put yourself first. Not selfishly, but responsibly. Paying yourself is not indulgence. It's the clearest signal that your business model works. If your business can't afford to pay you consistently, then something has to change. Now, either the pricing is wrong, the costs are bloated, or the model isn't scalable. But until you take your cut first, you'll never see those flaws clearly. Some business owners struggle with guilt around this concept. Maybe you have a team. Maybe you're afraid to let go of a tool or a vendor to free up money for your own paycheck. But think of it this way. When the owner is strong, the business is strong. Your well-being matters. When you're paid, focused, and fulfilled, you show up as a better leader. You bring clarity, not chaos. You make smart decisions instead of desperate ones. And that benefits everyone, your clients, your team, your family. So here's how to apply this starting today. 1. Determine your current revenue. Set a target owner's pay percentage based on profit-first guidelines. Use 20% to 50% depending on your situation. 3. Create a separate owner's pay bank account. On your allocation days, e.g., the 10th and 25th of each month, transfer your cut first. 5. Stick to it, even if it's small at first. Build the muscle. Build the respect. And here's a tip. Treat your owner's pay account like a real paycheck. Don't dip into it unless it's payday. Don't use it to rescue your operating expenses account. That's how you maintain boundaries and dignity. Over time, you can increase your percentage, give yourself bonuses from the profit account, and even start saving for future raises. Yes, raises, just like a real job. Because that's what this is. Your job, your reward. Let's pause for a moment and ask the big question. Do you pay yourself as if you matter? Because you do. You matter more than any bill, any vendor, and any flashy marketing tool. You are the reason this business exists. Your dreams, your hustle, your sleepless nights, they deserve compensation. Not someday. Not when the stars align. Now. And here's the magic. When you begin to pay yourself regularly, you stop chasing money, and you start managing it. You stop feeling like a victim of your business, and start acting like its rightful CEO. That's the profit-first mindset. That's how you build a business that fuels your life, not drains it. Section 7. Prepare for taxes and sleep at night. Stop dreading tax season. Start owning it. Tax season. Just reading those two words is enough to tighten your chest, isn't it? For countless business owners, taxes are the nightmare that looms all year long. A financial bomb that explodes every April, leaving a crater of panic, stress, and sometimes even debt. But here's the truth. Tax season doesn't have to be scary. In fact, with the profit-first method, it can become just another ordinary day. That's right. No surprises, no scrambling, no gut-wrenching fear. Just calm, clarity, and total control. And it all starts with one simple but powerful habit: setting aside your tax money as you earn it. The core idea is this. Every time your business makes money, you immediately allocate a portion of that income to a separate tax account. Before you pay any bills, buy any software, or upgrade any subscriptions. This isn't a leftover decision. It's a first move. Because, let's face it, the government will get their share, whether you prepare or not. And if you don't plan ahead, it will hurt. Badly. But when you make taxes a consistent part of your cash flow rhythm, everything changes. You go from dreading tax season to owning it. You stop asking, "Where am I going to get this money?" and start saying, "It's already covered." You sleep better at night. You stop feeling like a fraud. You step into your role as a responsible, empowered business owner. Not just a creative, not just a hustler, but someone who handles their financial responsibilities like a pro. Why does this matter so much? Because nothing sinks a business faster than tax shock. You've probably heard the stories. Maybe you've lived them yourself. A solopreneur hits their best revenue year ever, celebrates, reinvests, maybe even splurges a little, only to be blindsided with a $12,000 tax bill in April. But by then, the money's long gone. What follows is a cycle of borrowing, stressing, or avoiding altogether. And in worst cases, it leads to tax penalties, government liens, and irreversible damage to your business reputation. But this doesn't have to be your story. Let me introduce you to David, a marketing consultant based in Atlanta. David had a booming business, clients lined up, invoices paid regularly, referrals pouring in. On the surface, he looked like the picture of success. But behind the scenes, He lived in constant anxiety. Every dollar he made went right back into the business or toward his lifestyle. He knew taxes were coming, but he always told himself, "I'll deal with it later." Then, later, turned into disaster. He owed nearly $18,000 in back taxes, plus penalties. And the IRS didn't care that he had business expenses or that his cash flow was tight. They wanted their money. That year broke something in David, but it also forced a transformation. He discovered profit first and, reluctantly at first, opened a separate tax account. He started setting aside just 15% of every payment he received. At first, it was painful, seeing money leave his income before he even touched it. But within 3 months, something wild happened. David stopped worrying. That tax account grew consistently. When April rolled around the next year, not only did he have enough for his tax bill, he had more. He paid early, with confidence, with peace. That's what this system does. It removes fear. It replaces chaos with structure. And it turns tax season into a checkbox instead of a crisis. Now, let's talk implementation. This is easy to start and powerful in effect. 1. Open a dedicated bank account labeled TAX. Do not mix it with your regular operating or profit accounts. Determine your tax allocation percentage. Mike Michalowicz recommends starting at 15% of your real revenue. That's your income after pass-through expenses. If you're a sole proprietor, this might be enough. If you're an LLC or corporation, consult your accountant. You might need more or less. 3. Every time you allocate funds, e.g., the 10th and 25th of each month, move your tax percentage to this account. Automatically, without exception. 4. Do not touch this account for anything else. This is not your emergency fund. This is not your bonus stash. This is the government's money. Treat it like it doesn't belong to you, because it doesn't. The discipline here is key, because it's tempting, especially in tight months, to dip into the tax account just for now. But don't do it. That's how the stress creeps back in. That's how old habits return. Let this account grow untouched. When you file taxes and you have more than enough saved, it's one of the most empowering feelings in business. You might be wondering, what if I save too much? Great. Overestimate. Then you'll have extra to reinvest, give yourself a bonus, or roll into next year's tax fund. But never underestimate. Never play the guessing game. That's where danger lies. Here's an added benefit that most people don't talk about: confidence with your accountant and the IRS. When you walk into a tax meeting and already have the funds ready to go, you operate from a place of power. You get to ask better questions, optimize your strategy, and maybe even take advantage of deductions or payment timing. Because you're not reacting, you're planning. And let's not forget your mental health. For so many entrepreneurs, taxes are a constant, low-grade anxiety that never really goes away. Every check they receive comes with a shadow. Every win is followed by a "yeah, but." The weight of tax stress saps your creativity, your drive, and even your enjoyment of success. But when you follow the profit-first tax allocation system, you reclaim your peace. You get to win freely. You get to build without guilt. You get to live like a real CEO. So here's your challenge. This week, open your tax account and start funding it immediately. Even if it's just 5% for now. Even if your income is inconsistent, start the habit. Build the muscle. Because the earlier you start, the faster you take back control. And once that control is yours, no deadline, no letter from the IRS, no sudden tax change will ever shake you again. Take a deep breath. You're not behind. You're just one decision away from a business that handles taxes like clockwork. Section 8. The Profit Account. Celebrate and grow. Your business owes you profit. Here's how to claim it. Let's get one thing straight. You didn't start your business just to survive. You started it for freedom, for fulfillment, for the ability to provide for your family, live on your terms, and maybe even sip a drink on a beach without worrying about the next bill. But for many entrepreneurs, that dream gets buried under expenses, stress, and the daily hustle. You keep the lights on. You pay your team. You cover software, taxes, and bills. And then, there's nothing left for you. Sound familiar? Well, it ends today, because your business owes you profit, and the Profit First system shows you how to claim it consistently and guilt-free. Here's the radical truth at the heart of this section. Profit isn't a maybe, it's a must. It's not a leftover after you pay everyone else. It's not a surprise bonus at the end of a good year. It's a non-negotiable reward you earn just for being brave enough to build something from scratch. That's why Mike Michalowicz created the Profit Account, a separate bank account where a percentage of your income goes before you spend a cent on anything else. This account is not for taxes. It's not for bills. It's not for reinvestment. It's for you, for joy, for financial freedom, for living the life your business is supposed to fund. Why does this matter? Because when profit becomes a habit instead of a hope, everything changes. Your relationship with money improves. You start making decisions from a place of strength instead of scarcity. You stop resenting your business and start celebrating it. You begin to see yourself not just as a worker, but as a shareholder, someone who deserves a return on their investment of time, energy, and courage. The mechanics are simple, yet powerful. Every time you allocate income, typically twice a month on the 10th and 25th, you send a set percentage, even if it's just 1% at the start, into your profit account. This account builds quietly in the background, untouched. Then, once a quarter, you take 50% of whatever's in there and transfer it to your personal account. That's your profit distribution, your reward. Use it to celebrate, to take your spouse on a date, to fix your car, to breathe a little easier. The other 50%? It stays in the profit account as a buffer, a cushion to protect your business, or reinvest later if truly needed. Now, let me introduce you to someone who transformed their life using this system. Meet Marco, a landscaper from San Diego. For years, Marco ran a solid business. Crews worked full-time, clients were happy, and revenue was steady. But Marco never paid himself more than just enough to survive. Every spare dollar went back into the business. He hadn't taken a vacation in 8 years. He was burned out, bitter, and barely scraping by despite working harder than anyone he knew. Then he discovered Profit First. At first, he was skeptical. How could he possibly take profit when his margins were already tight? But he started small, just 1% into his profit account. He didn't touch it, didn't even look at it. Over the months, it grew. And at the end of that first quarter, Marco took half of what had accumulated and did something radical. He booked a weekend trip with his wife to the mountains, just 2 days away from the business. No emails, no client calls, just rest. For the first time in years, Marco remembered why he started the business in the first place. When he returned, he was energized. And more than that, he was motivated to keep the system going. Over the next year, he bumped his profit allocation to 5%, then 10%. That quarterly celebration became a ritual, sometimes a small trip, sometimes a fun purchase, sometimes just padding his savings account. The key was this: It was intentional. It was consistent. It reminded him that his hard work meant something. And that's the deeper power here. This isn't just about money. It's about psychology. When you reward yourself regularly, your brain starts associating profit with positive emotion. You become more invested in the health of your business. You're less likely to waste money on things that don't matter. You work smarter because you know there's a personal benefit coming. It's not selfish, it's sustainable. But let's be clear, this is not about draining your business dry. You don't take all the profit, just 50% of what's set aside, and only quarterly. That's what makes this method safe, smart, and scalable. You're building discipline while also building momentum. Over time, that profit account becomes a symbol of stability. It grows quietly. It cushions you during downturns. It funds opportunities. And most importantly, it reminds you that you matter. So how do you start? It's simple. 1. Open a separate profit bank account. Don't mix it with any other funds. 2. Choose your initial allocation percentage. Start with 1% if money is tight. Even that will make a difference. 3. On the 10th and 25th of every month, transfer the percentage into your profit account before doing anything else. 4. Do not touch this money. No borrowing, no exceptions. Let it grow. 5. Once a quarter, take 50% of the balance and move it to your personal account. Celebrate, guilt-free. The other half stays as a safety net. This isn't a gimmick. It's a proven system used by thousands of entrepreneurs across the world. It works because it's built on real human behavior. It leverages discipline and reward, two of the most powerful psychological tools for change. And it flips the traditional broken model on its head. Here's a moment of honesty. Most business owners never get to enjoy their success. They chase the dream for years and wonder why they're exhausted, angry, or ready to quit. But the dream doesn't have to die. You just need a system that puts you first, not last. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly rewarded yourself for your hard work? When was the last time your business gave something back to you, not just in pride, but in profit? If it's been too long, now is the time. Not someday. Not after this launch. Today. Start your profit account. Fund it consistently. Watch it grow. And when that first quarterly bonus hits your account, celebrate like you mean it. You've earned it. Section 9. Real percentages. Target allocation percentages. TAPS. The profit benchmarks that will transform your business. If you've made it this far into the profit-first journey, you've already embraced some powerful mindset shifts. You're no longer treating profit like an afterthought. You're managing money intentionally with multiple accounts. You've built the discipline to pay yourself first, and you're probably already seeing the peace of mind that comes from tax planning and consistent rhythms. But now it's time to go from good to great. Because while mindset and systems are crucial, you also need a map, a set of real, proven numbers that show you where you are and where you need to go. That's where target allocation percentages, or TAPs, come in. The core idea here is simple but game-changing. Every healthy business has a set of financial benchmarks, ideal percentages for profit, owner's pay, taxes, and operating expenses, based on their revenue range and industry type. These aren't random numbers. They're based on analyzing thousands of successful companies that actually work. When you compare your current allocations to these TAPs, you can immediately see what's out of alignment. It's like going to the doctor and finally getting a clear diagnosis and a treatment plan. Why does this matter so much? Because without specific targets, even the best systems can lead you astray. You might be putting money into the right accounts, but in the wrong proportions. You might think you're profitable, but you're underpaying yourself, or you might be bleeding money in expenses and not even realize it. TAPs give you the clarity and accountability to course correct before it's too late. They transform Profit First from a feel-good method into a data-driven roadmap for sustainable success. Let's break this down. The Profit First model categorizes your business into revenue tiers, because what works at $150,000 per year won't be the same at $1 million per year. For each tier, there are suggested TAPs across 5 categories. 1. Profit, your quarterly reward and financial buffer. 2. Owner's pay, your regular compensation. 3. Tax, set aside for government dues. 4. Operating expenses, at OPEX, the money you use to run your business. 5. Materials and subcontractors, if applicable, especially for product or service-based industries. Here's a rough example for a business making $250,000 per year in revenue. Profit, 10%. Owner's pay, 35%. Tax, 15%. Operating expenses, 40%. Now let's say your current allocations look like this instead. Profit, 2%. Owner's pay, 20%. Tax, 5%. Operating expenses, 73%. That's a wake-up call. You're overspending and underpaying yourself. But rather than panic, TAPs give you the North Star. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You simply start shifting 1% at a time. Move 1% from OPEX to profit this quarter, then 1% to tax next quarter. Slow, steady progress compounds into massive transformation. And the best part? This works in real life. Let me share a quick story. Tara ran a boutique marketing agency. Her business made good money, about $500,000 a year, but she was always broke. Her profit was whatever was left after payroll, software subscriptions, client gifts, and endless overhead. She barely paid herself, and tax season sent her into panic every single year. When she first discovered Profit First, she did her initial assessment and realized her percentages were totally off. Only 1% for profit, 18% for owner's pay, and an eye-watering 76% going to OPEX. She was shocked, but also relieved, because finally she had numbers to work with. She compared her allocations to the TAPs for her revenue tier and made a plan. Over 12 months, she started slowly shifting her allocations every quarter. 1% here, 2% there. She cut unused tools, downsized her office space, and got smarter with her hiring. By the end of the year, she hit these numbers. Profit, 8%. Owner's pay, 32%. Tax, 15%. OPEX, 45%. And the results? Tara took her first real vacation in years, paid her taxes in full without stress, and finally felt like her business was working for her, not against her. That's the magic of TAPs. They give you permission and precision. Permission to take profit without guilt. Precision in how to do it strategically. And over time, they give you a crystal-clear picture of your business's financial health. So, how do you apply this practically? Start with an honest assessment. Go through the last 12 months of income and categorize where every dollar went. Calculate your current percentages. Then, look up the TAPs for your revenue bracket. Mike Michalowicz provides them in the book and online. Compare the two. Where are you over? Where are you under? Next, make a transition plan. Don't try to leap from your current allocations to the TAPs in 1 month. That's a recipe for chaos. Instead, aim to shift 1% per category every quarter. If you're spending too much on OPEX, cut a subscription or renegotiate a vendor. If you're underpaying yourself, increase your owner's pay by 1% this month. Tiny steps, consistently taken, lead to transformation. Also, don't forget to review your TAPs quarterly. As your revenue grows, your ideal allocations might shift slightly. Staying aligned keeps your business resilient. It also helps you scale with sanity instead of stress. Here's your challenge. Take 1 hour this week and calculate your real percentages. Write them down. Then, look at them with curiosity, not judgment. Ask yourself, do my current allocations reflect my financial priorities? If you say you want profit, but you're only allocating 1% to it, something's off. If you say you want freedom, but your owner's pay is inconsistent, it's time for a reset. Remember, profit first isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about flipping the script from scarcity to sufficiency, from chaos to control, from just surviving to actually thriving. And TAPs are the calibration tool that makes sure you stay on course. So, where are your numbers today? And where do you want them to be 3 months from now? You don't need to guess anymore. The map is in your hands. Let it guide you toward a business that funds your life, not drains it. Section 10. The Rollout. Implementing the system step by step. How to transition to profit first without shocking your business. You've learned the principles. You understand the why. You've seen the transformation that profit first can bring to struggling entrepreneurs and thriving businesses alike. But here's the big question most people wrestle with at this point. How do I actually start without blowing everything up? The truth is, many business owners are eager to adopt the system until they look at their finances and feel paralyzed. What if I can't afford to take a profit yet? What if there's nothing left to pay myself? What if my team pushes back? If you're feeling overwhelmed, that's perfectly normal. But here's the truth. You don't have to transform everything overnight. In fact, you shouldn't. The Profit First system isn't about abrupt revolutions. It's about intentional evolution. The core idea of the rollout phase is to transition gradually so your business adjusts smoothly. This approach prevents the financial whiplash that comes with massive, unsustainable changes. Instead of trying to leap from 0% profit to 10% overnight or cutting operating expenses in half in a week, you start small, really small, and build consistency over time. Think of it like starting a new workout routine. You don't jump into running a marathon on day 1. You start with a few minutes a day, build muscle, gain stamina, and eventually, you're crossing finish lines you once thought were impossible. This matters more than you think. Why? Because sustainable change is rooted in momentum, not perfection. When you try to make huge shifts too fast, your business may rebel. You might panic. Your team might resist. And the system, which is supposed to bring peace and clarity, could start to feel like a burden. But by easing into it, you give yourself the room to breathe, learn, adjust, and win. So how do you apply this practically? Let's break down the exact steps for a smooth rollout. Step 1. Set up your bank accounts. This is non-negotiable. Start with 5. Income, profit, owner's pay, tax, and operating expenses. You can add more later if needed, like a separate account for materials or a vault for savings. But begin with these core 5. It's like laying the tracks before the train starts moving. Step 2. Assess your current cash flow. Look back over the past 3 to 6 months. How much revenue did you bring in? Where did it go? What percentage went to expenses? How much did you pay yourself? This financial snapshot will reveal where your habits are out of alignment and where your first small shifts should happen. Step 3. Start allocating just 1%. This is the most important part of the rollout strategy. Take 1% of your income and allocate it to your profit account every time you do a bank transfer, ideally on the 10th and 25th of each month. That's it. You're not trying to reach perfection. You're building the habit. You can also allocate 1% to your tax account if you're not already doing that. These small moves might not seem like much, but they're powerful because they establish the system without pain. You probably won't even feel that 1%, but you will start to feel the impact. Step 4. Adjust and increase slowly. Each quarter, reassess your percentages. Can you move from 1% to 2% for profit? Can you reduce your operating expenses by 1% and increase your owner's pay? These micro-adjustments build real momentum. Within 12 to 18 months, many businesses go from no profit and chaos to healthy margins, paid owners, and peace of mind. All without shocking the system. Let me share a real-life story to bring this to life. Meet the Gonzalez family. They ran a small but successful catering business in Austin, Texas. For years, they worked 60-plus hours a week, always busy, always booked, but always broke. They had one account for everything. Profit? A dream. Paying themselves consistently? Rare. Taxes? A scramble every spring. When they discovered Profit First, they were excited, but nervous. They couldn't imagine suddenly shifting 10% to profit or cutting their expenses drastically. So, they followed Mike Michalowicz's advice and started with just 1% to the profit account. That first month, it was only $200, but it was theirs. It felt like a victory. A small, quiet win. Next quarter, they added 1% to owner's pay. Then 1% to tax. Each quarter, they cut one unnecessary expense. An unused subscription here, overpriced vendor service there. They negotiated better terms with their suppliers. They became leaner without sacrificing quality. And slowly but surely, those percentages began to shift. After 12 months, they were at 6% profit, 35% owner's pay, and 14% tax, while still growing their top-line revenue. For the first time ever, they took a family vacation and paid cash for it, and didn't have to check their phones every 5 minutes. Their secret wasn't magic. It was consistency. They followed the system. They trusted the process. And they started small. And that's your challenge this week. What's the one small change you can make? Maybe it's opening those bank accounts. Maybe it's doing your first allocation. Maybe it's calculating your current percentages and facing the truth. Whatever it is, do it. Just start. Because starting, even with the tiniest step, changes everything. Remember, you didn't come this far to stay stuck. You came this far to take back control, to build a business that works for you, to pay yourself what you're worth, to be profitable not just on paper, but in real life. Profit First isn't about some complicated accounting gimmick. It's about building a healthy financial rhythm that sustains your business and your life. So don't let fear or perfectionism stop you. Don't tell yourself you'll start once things calm down, because they won't. Your business won't magically become less chaotic unless you lead that change. And the best way to lead? With intention, clarity, and small, bold steps. Section 11. The Profit First Life, Beyond Business. Build a business that funds the life you actually want. What's the point of building a business if it doesn't make your life better? Think about that for a second. We glorify hustle. We chase growth. We pour hours into our craft, our brand, our customers. But far too many business owners reach the top of a mountain only to realize they sacrificed everything to get there. Health, relationships, freedom, joy, And perhaps worst of all, they often sacrifice profit, the very thing that's supposed to make the whole journey worthwhile. But what if you flipped the script? What if your business was designed to serve your life, not steal from it? That's the real promise of Profit First. It's not just about running your numbers better. It's about building a life that actually feels rich, not just in money, but in meaning. At its heart, the Profit First system is about alignment. Aligning your business goals with your personal dreams, aligning your financial decisions with your real values. Because, let's be honest, no one started a business just to stress over bills, taxes, and payroll. You started it to gain control, to create something meaningful, to live on your own terms. But if you're constantly stressed about money, always reinvesting with nothing to show for it, and waiting for that magical day when things will finally click, you're doing it backwards. The truth is, financial health in business equals peace and freedom in life. When your business becomes a reliable engine, one that not only pays the bills but consistently generates profit, everything changes. You sleep better. You make decisions with clarity. You stop feeling like your business is one mistake away from disaster. You move from scarcity to stability, and from there to abundance. So how do you apply this beyond your business? You reinvest your profits intentionally. You pay off debt instead of drowning in it. You save for the future, not out of fear, but out of empowerment. You reward yourself for the work you've done, because you've earned it. Let's talk about debt for a moment. Many entrepreneurs are trapped by it. Credit cards, business loans, unpaid taxes. It becomes this quiet, growing monster in the background of every decision. But with Profit First, you finally have a system to fight back. You can allocate a portion of your profit distributions toward paying off that debt, chunk by chunk. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be all at once. But every dollar allocated from your profit account is a dollar moving you toward freedom. And once that debt is handled, you begin to invest in your future. This could mean building an emergency fund, saving for retirement, or even creating passive income streams. Some entrepreneurs use their quarterly profit distributions to buy real estate. Others invest in personal development, courses, mentorship, tools that help them grow not just as business owners, but as leaders, parents, partners, and people. Let me share a story that brings this all to life. Michelle was the founder of a boutique marketing agency. She was brilliant at what she did, creative, strategic, and obsessed with results. But financially, it was chaos. Every month felt like survival mode. She'd delay paying herself to cover client projects. She lived with the constant stress of tax season, often borrowing just to cover her obligations. Her business was thriving from the outside, but internally, she was falling apart. Then Michelle discovered Profit First. She started small, 1% to profit, 1% to tax. But she stayed consistent. Slowly, her profit account began to grow. She paid off a credit card, then a personal loan. Within 2 years, she had not only eliminated over $80,000 in debt, but she'd also saved enough to pay off the mortgage on her home. And here's the beautiful part. With her business healthy and automated, Michelle took a 6-month sabbatical. She traveled with her kids. She wrote a book. She rediscovered who she was outside of her business and realized that was the true profit. That's the Profit First life. Not a life of burnout and spreadsheets. Not a life where you're always chasing and never catching up. But a life where you own your business. It doesn't own you. So here's your final challenge. Imagine your dream life. Not the Instagram version, but the real one. What does freedom look like for you? Is it time with family? Travel? A home that's fully paid off? The ability to say no to projects that don't light you up? The chance to give generously? To build something that lasts? To live fully? Now ask yourself, what if Profit First could help you live that life? Because it can. It's not a gimmick. It's not a trend. It's a proven path that's helped thousands of entrepreneurs take back control, reclaim their peace, and finally enjoy the fruits of their hard work. This is the finish line of the Profit First journey. But really, it's the starting line of something much bigger. A life designed with intention. A business that funds your freedom. A future that excites you instead of exhausting you. So go back through these steps. Revisit the principles. Start small. Stay consistent. And keep your eye on the life you're building. Profit First isn't just about cash flow. It's about life flow. And the best part? You get to define what that looks like. Conclusion. You deserve profit. Start acting like it. You've come a long way in this journey through Profit First, a system that's not just a set of financial tactics, but a complete rewire of how you think about money, business, and freedom. Let's take a moment to recap what you've learned, not just to refresh your memory, but to drive home the truth that profit isn't optional. It's your right as a business owner. It's what fuels your future. First, we uncovered the profit problem. The traditional formula of sales minus expenses equals profit. This model is flawed. It teaches you to treat profit as an afterthought, which means it rarely materializes. Instead, we flipped the script with the powerful formula. Sales minus profit equals to expenses. This shift forces discipline. It makes profit a priority, not a leftover. Then we explored the small plates method, using multiple bank accounts to give every dollar a job. Just like using smaller plates helps you eat less, smaller buckets of cash create natural limits that curb overspending. You learned to set up dedicated accounts: income, profit, owner's pay, tax, and operating expenses. This isn't complicated accounting. It's smart cash flow visibility that gives you control and clarity. Next came the rhythm, the heartbeat of your business. Instead of reacting emotionally to money, you create a steady routine. Twice a month, on the 10th and 25th, you move funds intentionally. You distribute your revenue like clockwork, not chaos. This rhythm trains you to stop guessing, stop hoping, and start knowing that your business is on solid ground. We addressed taming the beast. Learning how to operate your business within your means. You don't need a bloated list of subscriptions, tools, and shiny objects to be successful. When you cap your operating expenses, creativity flows. You find leaner, smarter ways to deliver value, and profit becomes a byproduct of discipline. We dove into the importance of owner's pay. You are not your business's last priority. You are its greatest asset. When you pay yourself first, you protect your energy, your future, and your family. You honor the risk you've taken and the hours you've invested. This isn't selfish. It's survival. Then came the relief of preparing for taxes. No more dreading April. No more panic. You learned to set aside a percentage of every payday in a no-touch tax account. That small act of consistency brings massive peace of mind. And when the tax man knocks, you're ready, not scrambling. We discovered the magic of the profit account, the reward that reminds you why you started. Every quarter, you take 50% of what's in that account and celebrate. Whether it's a vacation, a family treat, or simply padding your savings, this ritual builds a muscle of success. It reinforces the mindset that your business exists to serve your life, not the other way around. We then explored real percentages, the target allocation percentages, TAPS. These are not random guesses, but real-world benchmarks that guide you. When you assess your current numbers against your industry's healthy targets, you get a roadmap. And from there, you make adjustments, slowly, steadily, and strategically. We broke down the rollout strategy, how to phase in profit first without disrupting your current operations. Start with 1% to profit, one extra bank account, one rhythm. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Just one intentional step at a time builds momentum. And before long, the system starts running itself. Finally, we wrapped up with the Profit First Life, where all of this comes together beyond the spreadsheets. You learned that this isn't just about numbers. It's about building a business that supports your dreams, paying down debt, taking real vacations, funding your freedom, creating a legacy that you and your family can be proud of. And now, here you are, ready to take the next step. You didn't risk everything to build a business that drains you. You didn't quit your job, take out loans, or spend sleepless nights for a life that feels just as stressful and paycheck to paycheck as before. No, you did it for freedom. You did it for your family. You did it to create something that matters, and something that lasts. And here's the good news. You don't need to be a financial wizard. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. So here's your challenge. Open that first profit account. Transfer just 1% of your income. Feel the shift. Watch your confidence grow. One decision, one small action, is all it takes to break the cycle. From that first step, momentum will build. You'll start to notice more, spend smarter, save more, and for the first time, you'll feel in control of your business, not controlled by it. This isn't just about profit. It's about reclaiming your power, about saying, I deserve to win. I deserve to thrive. And you do. Now go. Go take action. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Don't overthink it. Don't let the old habits sneak back in. Your business is ready. You are ready. If this video moved you, inspired you, or opened your eyes, leave a comment with your biggest takeaway. What step are you committing to this week? Hit the like button to let us know you're part of the Profit First movement. Share this video with someone who's building a business and needs this message. And don't forget to subscribe for more high-impact book breakdowns that help you build a life you don't need a vacation from. You've earned this. You've built this. Now it's time to keep the profit that makes it all worth it. You deserve profit. Start acting like it.